Hello, and welcome to the 45th video in my Punishing Graven lore series. Today we will cover the 8th chapter of the Floating Record stories, The Long Goodbye. Babylonia has a long history of scandals and hidden stories, tales of sacrifice and salvation. Now we explore the story of Wanshi, the people who gave everything to secure his future, and a lone soldier who wasn't lucky enough to make it home. Now without any further delay, Floating Record Chapter 8, The Long Goodbye. Guided by his mother, a boy arrives at the base of an oak tree and digs a piece of amber from under its roots. This moment marks the beginning of the boy's journey and the furthest point his mother can walk alongside him. As the boy opens his eyes, Melvi and many other doctors rush into the room. He's been stuck in a coma since infancy, yet his mental age is that of a proper 5-year-old child, a near miracle, or perhaps a loving mother's gamble. In the time after the boy's awakening, he grew and developed under Melvi's care. Like any other child, he has an innate yearning for his mother, but Melvi warns him that he must never mention her. She left for the surface after delivering him to the Star of Life, and ever since then Melvi has been his caretaker. That is as much as anyone else needs to know. After that, they run into Kugawa Korono, the head pediatric doctor, who tries to probe the boy's memories. Without warning, he pulls out a gun and aims it at the boy's head, and in that moment his world goes white. That event shocked Wanshi out of his memory, and he finds himself in Asimov's lab. For some time now, he's been suffering from involuntary memory retrievals, constant flashbacks. Originally, when he became a construct, these accessed memories were locked away to prevent mind deviation, but recently they began to resurface. Instead of taking Asimov's advice for a break, he wants to continue his compatibility training, since passing will allow him access to his new frame. Wanshi has been sent out to scout paths for an evacuation route, and during this latest mission he received reports of the Red Tide's movements. Directly in the path of the tide is an abandoned research lab, and some time ago a squad was sent to investigate. In the time since they were deployed, Babylonia has lost all contact, so he requests reinforcements to investigate their disappearance. Commandant, alongside 2 other constructs, are deployed to the research facility. Their mission is to search for the missing members, gather any research data left behind, and evacuate before the Red Tide's arrival. While on their way, they meet up with Wanshi, and with his help they eliminate the hetero creatures and begin their search. Along with his new frame's increased power, it also comes equipped with the Hawkeye system, an offshoot of the Spear of FOS, that allows for simulation and information extraction. With it, he's confirmed the advanced team followed the same path they are on now, but he's found something more than just traces of the team. This lab also contains evidence of deserter constructs, and even ascendants. All throughout the facility he can detect various distress signals, but in the background there's something else. On the ground he finds a terminal, and the signal it's emitting is a calling card for Shorthalt, former captain of Scarab. Whatever happened within this lab is far from ordinary, but the only way to find out more is to follow the clues he left behind. Commandant and Wanshi explore the various labs, and even learn that the test subjects were all children, when suddenly they lose contact with the rest of the team. When Commandant catches up, he arrives just in time to see a corrupted drag Wanshi into the darkness, and without hesitation he jumps in after. Something was off about that corrupted, and having noticed Wanshi's poor condition, he initiates a mind connection, and is shocked to find Wanshi's mind in complete chaos. Prior to being attacked by the corrupted, it was just slight fluctuations, nothing to this degree, so they assume that corrupted must have played a part. Wanshi's memories begin to spiral out of control, but it's not just his memories. There's something else, buried deep within his mind. In the darkness, he remembers being dismembered and torn apart, skin peeled away and muscles removed. He shatters his restraints as the viral concentration rises, and the surrounding adults evacuate the lab in a panic. He lunges at the nearest researcher, and the impact shocks him awake. Since waking up from his coma, he's lived with these nightmares, but for mere dreams, these feelings are far too real, and any attempt to tell Melvi about these nightmares is met with dismissal. She's tried her hardest to keep Wanshi away from the past, hiding everything involving Project Recall, or his mother, to the point she's forged nearly all of his personal documents. If she didn't go this far, those involved with his past could re-emerge, and they would be far more real of a threat than Wanshi's nightmares. It's taken her a lot of work, but after all this time, Wanshi is able to be transferred out of the pediatric ward, giving him the opportunity to be a normal child, the last request his mother made. Meanwhile, Wanshi wanders through Babylonia when he arrives at one of the spaceports. He sees the aftermath of a large-scale battle, in the halls filled with dead and dying constructs. Two constructs, Shorthalt and Cien, step in to lead the boy away, when another child begins causing a scene. This boy, Pello, is searching for his mother, who happens to be the latest construct Professor Chiron failed to save. To calm him down, one of the residents tells him his mother simply needs time to recover, 8 years, and by then they will have found a way to save her life. Even if this is nothing but a lie, sometimes lies are needed to preserve hope. That is, until a small child shatters that hope. Wanshi tells the boys the doctors are lying to him and that his mother is well and truly gone. He doesn't remember much of what happened after that, but soon he made it back to the pediatric ward. He can sense he did something wrong, but not what. After all, they were lying to that boy. Even Melvi tells him to lie about what he remembers, but he was also taught lying is wrong, so what should he believe? In the hopes he never has to learn the reason behind these actions, she sends him to the youth center, where he can meet other people, make friends, and hopefully live a normal life. When he's introduced to the other children, he's surprised to find Pello is not only in the same school, but also a part of his assigned group. Having been placed in the same dorm, the two get along like oil and water, as Pello has not forgiven him for the comments he made the day his mother died, while Wanshi takes great offense to the various insults thrown in retaliation. Soon after meeting, the two boys come to blows, but their fight ends just as fast, as they are caught by the volunteer staff. In the following days, he gets adjusted, and even participates in class lessons. They go to the exhibition hall, learning about the government of the past, the beauty of nature, and the dangers of the virus. He spends the evening reflecting on what he had just seen during today's trips. The guide's description of Earth was bare bones at best, and although he can't tell the others, he learned much more about the surface from the dreams of his mother. In them, he saw fields of wheat, endless oceans, and occasionally other children. The other kids find his description of the surface inspiring, lighting their desire to one day see it for themselves. But for Wanshi, his reason for wanting to visit the Earth has always remained the same: to find his mother. As the years pass by, Wanshi and his friends grow up and begin choosing career paths. Pello and Natalie, the wannabe doctors, Frank, the engineer, and Wanshi, who despite passing the medical exam, submits an application to travel to the surface. While discussing their results, he leaves to find Pello sulking in their room. Gestalt rejected his application for medical school, and he's been assigned to the surface. For Pello, the news is crushing. This was his last chance, as he will soon age out of the system, and his path will be locked. The same way Wanshi wants to go to Earth to find his mother, Pello wanted to become a doctor to get his mother out of stasis. Two boys, both living in delusion, not wanting to face reality. Suddenly, the rest of the group barges into the room. Wanshi's placement results have come back, and to his shock, he's been assigned to medical school. Since they are both now in the same boat, on the path to futures they don't want, Pello comes up with an idea. If they could simply switch their lives, everything would fall into place. Pello has been receiving help from outsiders, people who wanted to challenge the status quo, and they have given him a way to break into the school systems. After that, he and Wanshi can swap places and live the lives they want. But before they can make any progress, they are caught by Shorthalt of all people. He was searching for Pello to discuss his conversion, and just happened to spot the group dashing into the office. After hearing the rest of their story, he confiscates the terminal, and before leaving, Wanshi asks him for one last favor. He wants Shorthalt to find any record of his parents. Shockingly, this extra request isn't hard at all. In fact, it's almost too easy for anyone who isn't Wanshi. His father, Wanji, was a Kowloon doctor, and his mother, Wanshu, was a Science Council researcher, until she left for the surface and eventually went missing. After handing over the file, Shorthalt brings up the incident from last night. The terminal they received wouldn't have swapped their assignments. All it would do is trigger the alarms, leading the teachers right to them. As for their placements, he's informed the youth center of possible tampering, and they will conduct an independent investigation. When Shorthalt leaves, Melvi walks in soon after. She heard about him turning down medical school, and she's understandably angry. But that was always her plan, not Wanshi's. His goal is, and always has been, finding his mother, He's lived his life according to Melvi's instruction thus far, but now he wants the truth. Why did his mother leave? Where did she go? And why did she leave him behind? The first time Melvi saw Wanshi was on a transport during the evacuation of Kowloon. When they arrived in Babylonia, he was placed in the Star of Life, and Wanshi was assigned to head Melvi's research team, where they studied the relationship between human brains and construct minds. Sometime after that, their research hit a bottleneck. Wanshi realized mind patterns of so-called special constructs, children who are converted before maturity, might represent some promise for their research. Melvi asks why she works so hard, and with no hesitation she says it's all for Wanshi, to find a way to wake him up. Several months after that conversation, their lack of progress has left them on the verge of shutting down. On top of this, a number of labs have been supposedly attacked by corrupted, forcing the infected staff and test subjects to be eliminated. When their research stalled, they read Wanshu's report on the viability of child constructs, and even though the practice was recognized as inhumane, they were desperate. After their team was dissolved, Melvi transferred to the Star of Life. Ever since he arrived in Babylonia, Wanshi has been stuck in a coma, and every advancement Wanshu made was to find a way to save her son. Corona wants her to continue her research on the surface, so she's come to say goodbye to both Wanshi and Melvi. She has no intention of coming back. In a sense, this is her way of trading a life for a life. Soon after that, Wanshu left for the surface, and Melvi became Wanshi's caretaker. She maintained the equipment until he eventually woke up, and when he did, he could talk, think, and had a grasp of common knowledge. Whatever Wanshu did, it worked. Her efforts woke him up, but it also attracted unwanted attention. As part of Wanshu's old team, people began investigating her, and by extension Wanshi, so she had no choice but to step back to keep him from getting involved. Everything she has done has been for his benefit. He's gone his entire life following her directions, and she begs him to do it one more time, to go to medical school and live a normal life, but he decides it's time to follow his own path, a blatant refusal. Later that night, Wanshi meets with the rest of his friends. He learned from Short Halt their application issues were caused by people, humans with hidden agendas, so he's decided to bring attention to this issue by making a scene, and he's chosen to destroy Gestalt. That night, they set up the explosives, and this single act will be their protest against having others determine their lives. He slams the detonator as fireworks light up the entire Gestalt exhibition hall. As the kids make their escape, they run into Short Halt and Cien. They were planning to announce this in a more proper setting, but with everyone present, they tell the kids the investigation has been completed. Their original scores were even lower than the modified ones. They would have failed either way. They made their noise and voiced their concerns, but in the end, nothing will change. After that, Pello volunteered to undergo conversion early, and Wanshi learned Melvi went to the surface, dying to save stranded children. He failed to find his mother, failed to help Pello, and failed to protect Melvi. Short Halt tells him that when things go wrong outside of his control, the only thing he can do is what he can. And for him, that means going to medical school. On the outside, Wanshi remains trapped in his mind, and the ocean of memory data is becoming more turbulent. It nearly swallows Commandant's mind beacon, when out of all constructs, Rosetta arrives and severs the connection. She tagged along with the advanced squad, but ended up trapped during the investigation. Since then, she's been gathering anything that might be of use, and hands over another terminal from Short Halt. The messages he left behind are getting more strange. In it, he mentions a creature that hatched from a glowing egg, and his desire to save the child's test subjects. They make their way to the cultivation area, finding piles of construct bodies in another terminal. While listening to the recording, Wanshi comes to a frightening realization that Short Halt might be the creature that hatched and killed these constructs. Using the Hawkeye system, Wanshi and Rosetta search the cultivation area for more clues, seeing visions of trapped children. The more Wanshi uses the Hawkeye system, the more it disrupts his mind. Long-sealed memories start breaking free as phantoms of young children appear all around them. Before his consciousness is overwhelmed, Commandant snaps him out of it, and in front of them is the same corrupted that dragged them down here in the first place. So with no further leads, they decide to follow it, and it leads them to a piece of candy. After leaving for the surface, Wanshi abandoned her name, choosing to live as a simple researcher, and while working for Kronos, she was in charge of managing the children. Despite her previous experience, she received no special treatment, and when Pikmin arrived, she was further sidelined. Now she spends her days with the children, all of whom have been converted, save for two, Theodore and Aviana. Every other child was a test run to ensure their conversion goes smoothly, as they showed the greatest promise. Now it's time for the final two children to be converted, and as their caretaker, Wanshi was invited to participate. She watches while the children are cut open, as pieces of flesh are removed and replaced with cybernetics. She has spent most of her time around them, so Pikmin believes the following process will go smoother if she's involved. She is strapped into the connection device and is linked with Aviana's mind. But within that space, the two find something unexpected: a small, white-haired child. Originally, Wanshi tried waking Wanshi up by connecting their minds to a simulated mind space, and of course this plan didn't work in the end, but now she has access to a real mind, Aviana's. They try connecting Theodore's mind in the same way, but the process fails, and the boy, now having been corrupted, is locked away. After that day, Wanshi found herself in the same situation as the children. She was a lab rat, only used to help stabilize them during connection. As more of the children had their minds fused, the blank space began to take shape, and the children often came to her to receive lessons and learn about the world. At the same time, she used those lessons to teach Wanshi, taking care not to let him see the other children within the mind space. Day by day, they began to see Wanshi as a younger brother, and did their best to make Wanshi's plans work. She gathered the children together for one last lesson, this time showing them how to sharpen their toys into stakes and how to file their buckles into knives. From now on, they are no longer discarded test subjects. They are soldiers crafted for her rebellion. Wanshi's mind nearly collapses from the surge of data. These are the long-sealed memories and experiences he's inherited, and despite the danger, he pushes forward as more memories fill his vision. The plan finally goes into effect, and Wanshi tries to smuggle the children out quietly, but when the other researchers catch on, she's forced to improvise. She cuts off the lab's power, throwing the staff into chaos as the children brandish their makeshift weapons. After having the children cut their trackers, she leads them to the junkyard. Had her plan not fallen apart, their escape could have been more clean, but this will have to do. She hands the children a robot, one that will follow the chip within Wanshi and hopefully lead them right to him. As the children make their escape, Wanshi has made the choice to stay behind. At first, she only cared for Wanshi, but having spent so much time with these kids, watching them suffer in this hell, she's realized that someone needed to stay behind to lift them up. And if that someone is her, it will serve as her just punishment, and her atonement. After Theodore became corrupted, they sealed him in one of the labs, and whether corrupted or not, all of the children deserve to be free, including him. When she reaches the room, the sound of a gun cocks behind her. In the most ironic sense, Pikmin, the cruelest among them, is the only one besides her to refer to the subjects as children. He slowly backs away as she raises her hammer, and she makes him one last promise. If he survives this, one day his evils will catch up, and he will die at the hands of the children he oppresses. The window shatters as Pikmin pulls the trigger, and the sealed punishing spills into the lab. The bullet pierces Wanshi's forehead, and pain fills every part of Wanshi's body. On the outside, it's only been a few moments, but he still wonders if they will catch up in time and find him before mind damage takes his life. As time passed, Wanshi grew into a capable doctor, working day and night towards something, but he doesn't know what. He doesn't know what's pushing him, but Shorthalt's advice is always in the back of his mind, to just do what he can. And for today, that means taking care of the children, when suddenly Natalie runs into the room. She drags him to the hangar, and the scene is just like it was years ago, with dead and dying constructs filling the halls, but this time he can help. He spends the night saving as many constructs as possible until he's stopped in his tracks. In front of him is Cien, and in his arms is another construct, a young man with purple hair, Pello. After the chaos dies down, an investigator comes and takes Wanshi away. According to them, Pello was in charge of monitoring the corrupted, and his failure is what caused the entire situation, leading them to suspect he might be a defector. On top of this, Wanshi was his last contact, making him a possible accomplice. After many hours locked in the interrogation room, Professor Chiron and many others testified on Wanshi's behalf, but the largest factor was that the powers that be no longer suspected Pello of desertion. In his final messages, he found a strange corrupted, and even stranger is that this corrupted said Wanshi's name. After that message, they lost his signal, and by the time they found him, he was already gone. So far, Wanshi has been drifting through the world, but now he's decided on a path for himself. He wants to officially join the Construct Maintenance Department and save people just like Pello. Following that day, Wanshi began taking his first steps down a brand new path in life, and over the years he became a seasoned member of the Construct Maintenance Department. When Chiron first learned they were using children as test subject, he burned down the lab before escaping to Babylonia. As the years went by, the fire that burned within him slowly went out, and the rage against injustice faded away. After Wanshu left for the surface, he met Melvi and saw a similar fire burning within her. Having spent so much time caring for Wanshi, she developed a desire to nurture and protect the next generation, and after watching his dedication to saving others, Chiron began to feel something similar. With this new spark, he told Wanshi the truth of consciousness recall. It is nothing but a baseless lie, designed to prevent panic from spreading throughout the army. After learning the truth, Wanshi transferred to the surface, and it's been almost a year since then. He has cut nearly all contact with Babylonia, and spends his time working to provide medical care. While helping treat some of the town's youth, they get an evacuation order, as a massive horde of corrupted breaches the conservation area. Wanshi works alongside Shorthalt, Kamui, and many others to evacuate the civilians to a nearby shelter. Due to the scale of the attack, even the elite squads are pinned, meaning reinforcements won't arrive anytime soon. Grabbing his rifle, Wanshi heads back to the front lines, both to kill corrupted and save injured constructs. During the fighting, one of the corrupted is far stranger than the others. It says his name, and the moment it does, a massive headache nearly knocks him unconscious. Memories force their way into his head, and the deeper he goes, the more he finds. This is a message Wanshu left behind years ago, one just for him. She tried to shield him from the truth, but now it's time for those secrets to come to light. Everything, the experiments, the children within the mind space, and the data left behind in the research lab. No matter how deeply these memories are buried, they will always be there, and they will inevitably lead him back. This is her message to him, a reminder to keep moving forward, that there are still things he must do. But what he must do now is save these people. He aims his rifle at the corrupted, and with the last of his strength pulls the trigger. After that final shot, he collapses, unaware if he killed it, or if he even managed to save a single person. As dawn breaks, the rescue team arrives in the area, finding no survivors, save for a severely injured Shorthalt, and Wanshi on the brink of death. In his current state, there's no way for him to survive his injuries, so he's left with a choice, to die as a human, or live on as a construct. On the operating table, they find his mind is too chaotic to operate, so the access memories are sealed away, and Wanshu's chip is removed. From that point up until now, he's been asleep, but with the return of his memories, it's time to wake up. Many years ago, a bullet pierced through Wanshu's head. A woman ill-equipped to raise a child did so for the sake of a friend, and a young doctor gave his all to defend those who couldn't defend themselves. At the bottom of the lab, memories surged through the construct's mind, threatening to rip his consciousness to pieces. His mother's farewell before leaving for the surface, or the final meal Melvi made before heading to the battlefield. He sees Pello's nameplate covered in vital fluid, and the purifying force suppressing Professor Chiron. One after another, the people in his life bid him farewell, some with smiles, others with tears and cries. After that, his memories catch up to current times. He learned Shorthalt became a monster wandering through the lab, trying to save illusions of lost children, leaving behind clues for reinforcements who would never come. Wanshu's corrupted robot survived that battle, finding its way back to the lab, where it sparked the release of these memories. And after that, nothing. In the end, he will die of severe mind deviation. With each step, the ground turns to ice, and that feeling of death becomes more clear. The screams of countless anguished souls call out, inviting him into their embrace. He finds himself standing in front of a coffin, one housing death itself, the final cries of everyone he's ever lost, everyone he failed to save. From the pile of corpses, one of those hands grabs his attention. A human wearing a combat glove. Someone he would recognize even if the world froze over. The last person he can still save. The last person he will save. He screams Commandant's name, uses every tool he has, kicks the coffin until it shatters, anything to get the human to wake up. He grips that hand, and slowly, ever so slowly, the ice begins to thaw, and that frozen hand grips back. After clearing the cultivation area, Commandant and Rosetta lost contact with Wanshi. When they caught up, they found him collapsed on a bridge surrounded by hetero creatures, and having searched through his mind, Commandant knows about the lab, Wanshu, and the connection device. In the end, they made it in time. Within the mind space, Wanshi saved Commandant, and in the lab, Commandant in turn saved Wanshi. Now there's only one thing left to do to stabilize his mind, to retrace his steps from the very beginning. These memories are filled with hardship and despair, but also joy, desire, hope, and above all, love. This love wraps around him, crystallizing into a golden amber, and from within he sees the entire world take shape. One day the amber is found by a small white-haired child, and what that boy sees is himself, the future he has yet to realize. This is the moment where the story of Wanshi begins. Having finally woken from his sleep, it's time to complete the mission. Short Halt is still on the bottom level of the lab, and if he's absorbed by the tide, it will increase the speed of its spread, threatening the evacuation on the surface. They decide to split up, sending Wanshi to deal with Short Halt, while Commandant and Rosetta search for the research data and the missing constructs. The two follow Wanshu's robot to the main control room, and inside they find all their missing members. When they were originally separated, they were attacked by Short Halt, and before succumbing to their injuries, this corrupted dragged them to this hidden room. With the corrupted's help, Commandant downloads all of the research data, and Rosetta sends a distress signal to call for help. For over a year, Short Halt's mind has been trapped in a dream. The children he was protecting were nothing but phantoms. Leftover mind data merged into the tide. In those brief moments of sanity, he left behind clues, even knowing one day they would guide his executioner. People like him, who nurture the seeds of the next generation, or who forge Wanshi into who he is. Now it's his job to repay that kindness and wake Short Halt from this nightmare.
I still have another shot.
ここだったんだ。多くの人がここで僕の目の前から通り過ぎて戻ってこなかった。 でも今度は何もできないわけにはいかない。必ず戻る。僕とリンクして指揮官。
Shorthalt sits in the middle of a battlefield, with Wanshi by his side tending to his injuries. He checks his pocket for a snack and is surprised to find he's run out. Wanshi offers the candy he found earlier, and Shorthalt freezes. In that instant, he remembers the two young boys from the youth center, the doctor from the front lines, and the dozens of other people he's offered candy to just like this. He asks how long he's been here, and it's been a long time, long enough to officially mark him as deceased. When he was captured, Lithos merged dozens of minds together as part of his experiment, and with all those memories overlapping, he lost track of what was real. He congratulates Wanshi for managing to find him down here, but with this, Wanshi has lost yet another person he wanted to save. Shorthalt reminds him that they're nearly out of time. There are many other people screaming and struggling within him, so while he's still himself, he tells Wanshi to finish what he started, to set them all free. He pops the candy in his mouth as Wanshi pulls the trigger. With that, Shorthalt's parade has come to an end, and like many others who have walked alongside him, Wanshi will preserve those memories within himself. After defeating Shorthalt, messages from Strikehawk and Grey Raven began filling his terminal, and with this moment of peace, he takes a well-deserved rest. The boy stares through the window of his hospital room, as familiar faces urge him to move on. First, his mother. Next to her, Melvi. After them, Pello, Chiron, Shorthalt, and many others. He doesn't want to wake up and leave them behind, but there's still one more person left. The window shatters, and standing in front of the boy is a squad of 4 constructs. The white-haired man extends his hand towards the boy. So many people gave everything to save this sleeping child, so now it's time to wake up and face the future he's been dreaming of. While he was unconscious, Strikehawk arrived and evacuated them to a nearby camp. Rosetta left to help with the refugees, and Egret arrived as reinforcements. Thanks to the early warning, the conservation areas were evacuated, and reconstruction efforts are well underway. Commandant made his report to Babylonia, and with the lab being consumed by the tide, Wanshi's memories are the most complete record of what happened. Soon, Vanessa arrives with a construct named Leia, a new member of Egret, and on the other side of the tent sits Wanshi, soothing a crying infant. In the time since, Wanshi arrived back in Babylonia, and Asimov explains the damage to his mind likely won't impact his daily life, but it is permanent. Although he's decided to work as part of a case study, so that maybe in the future they can find ways to reverse this type of mind damage. In the brief window before returning to Babylonia, Rosetta brought back the information from the research lab, and suddenly Wanshi was being investigated for his role in Pello's old desertion case. But that investigation was closed almost as fast as it was opened. Strikehawk waves as vehicles full of volunteer doctors speed past. Since Wanshi's time, they have started providing more protection for these doctors, and with the support force leading their missions, casualties are at an all-time low. He spent a lifetime as both a human and construct, and he's proud to see how far that young dreamer has come. This is the future he's always longed for. Alright, and that wraps up Long Goodbye. Now, was it a well-written chapter? Absolutely, 100%. But was it a good chapter? I feel like whether or not you think the chapter was good depends on how much you like Wanshi as a character. I mean, like, for me, Wanshi's pretty cool, but, like, I like Wanshu better. I like your mom. Sorry, man. But, you know, for anyone out there who doesn't really like Wanshi, apologies that you had to wait a month for a Wanshi video. And for anyone who does like Wanshi, I hope I did a good enough job to get a like. Aha. If you've read the chapter, you'll know that there are actually 2 nodes that take place after the ending of the chapter. So 25 and 26. 25 is just Wanshi and Shorthold, kind of like having fun, messing around with each other, joking around. It's just kind of there to show that they have a connection, like a personal connection. And 26. Yeah, 26 is actually a really good one. Like, it doesn't, like, there's nothing story related that happens in it, but if you want to see an example of mind deviation from the perspective of the construct, that is a very good node, because it shows you exactly what happened to Shorthold after, you know, he started, after his mind started deviating, he started, like, losing himself to madness. It shows you his, like, slow descent into going crazy. Like, you can see him, like, confusing the researchers for constructs, and he's, like, killing people, but he doesn't know he's killing people. You can, like, see him try and fight back, gain some sanity, and then he, like, eventually loses out to the madness. It's a cool node. It's a really short one, too. So if you want to know what mind deviation looks like and you have, like, 10 minutes, 26, the final node. Alright, so as for the next chapter, if you were unaware, I did put out a poll because we had 2 choices, right? We could move on in release order and do 31, or because Crescent Sun is 100% standalone and it takes place before Shaper's Ripples, I suggested we could also do that one first, right? Suffer a little bit longer in Floating Record Jail, so that 31 to 33 could just be like a full trilogy, right? No interruptions. And it looks like from the poll, we have decided to go with that option. Who are these guys? So, you know, thank you, everybody. I will take your opinions into concern. I did not think that it would be this split. I didn't think it'd be this close. And then there's you guys at the bottom. What the hell? Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you all in the next video, where we cover Chapter 9 of the Floating Record Stories, Crescent Sun.